Estate Today feature. So welcome now to Real Estate Today, and it is a sponsored feature courtesy of Howard Johnson Realty Limited. They are located at unit number 15 in the Ligonier Post Mall in Kingston 6. Today's topic for discussion, residential developments, the public's access to information. That sounds like it's going to be an interesting discussion, and I think it definitely will. Now, developing communities is not just about building infrastructure. It is about the people who live there and how their lives are affected by their surroundings. There have been recent discussions about several residential properties being erected across the country, often without the prior knowledge of residents. Well, this morning, Howard Johnson Jr. and Dr. Carol Archer. Dr. Archer is a professor of urban planning and public policy at the University of Technology. Will be our guests to discuss the topic, residential developments, the public's access to information. I suspect that our usual co-presenter, Howard Johnson, is there. Are you there, sir? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Richard B. Morning to you. Morning.
Are you alive and kicking, sir?
Well, we're live and kicking, with mixed emotions. What's like that?
Oh, boy, you need to tell us about that. And we'll get to that. In fact, we also have Dr. Carol Archer. Good morning, Dr. Archer.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you for the first time on this program. Where have you been? We wanted you for a long time, Doc.
I've been around.
All right.
Very busy.
So glad that you could join us today. I can tell the listeners a little bit about Dr. Archer. She has over 25 years of experience in the industry. She has published and provided consultancy on issues relating to housing, urban governance, local government reform, and community development. And I'm sure, Doc, that there's a whole lot more, but we just gave him a little snippet,
Yes, thank you.
Now, I want to throw the first question to Dr. Archer. Now, many citizens living in the corporate area are very often displeased with the level of transparency surrounding housing projects that are being developed in their communities. In your experience, Doc, how easy is it to access this information?
Oh, unfortunately, not very easy for the average citizen to, when they wake up one morning, they see their next door neighbor sold the property, zinc fence going up, and people coming in, they're wondering what is taking place. And within 6-7 months, they have a 4 or 5 story building with windows directly looking through their bathroom or their bedroom. Mm-hmm. It's not very, very easy. In fact, I have been asked by a number of, at least, about 10 citizens associations throughout Kingston and St. Catherine to advise them as to what they should do. And one of the reasons why they would call on people like myself is just going to the local authorities, in this case, the Kingston Municipal Corporation or the St. Catherine, is that they can't get anywhere. They can't get any questions answered by persons who they have elected to represent them, to serve them. Mm-hmm. They get the runaround. They get the runaround from NEPA, no straight answer, because I've seen the letters. Yes. They get the runaround from the local authorities. Yes? So it's not easy at all. But what is important to note, though, is that we have laws on the books that says that once you have interest in the in the community, meaning that you own property,
yes,
if there is going to be a change of use, meaning that a lot which had a single family, if that is going to now change to accommodate multifamily, meaning high-rise, meaning more than 2 or 3 stories, the person with interest must be contacted.
And you stress the word must. You stress the word must. They must be contacted.
The law says it. It also states that with each property comes with covenant that says, look, we, with interest in this particular community, ensure that the development is in accordance such that it is, whether it's single family, particular access to roads, rights, and so forth. So the covenant is on the title. The title is a legal document.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to change that, it requires legal process. Part of that process is before development takes place, the covenant has to be changed. It has to be lifted.
Must be modified.
Right, and it requires the residents in the adjoining properties.
To actually...
And adjoining doesn't necessarily mean only the one beside.
Right.
in the community.
They have to agree, basically.
They have to.
I suspect that a lot of persons don't even understand or know that they have those rights. But from the developer's perspective, Dr. Archer, what factors do property developers need to consider when developing properties in existing residential communities?
Well, if we were to use the most recent examples, decisions coming down through the courts, whether it's in Birdsucker or in sections of Seymour Lands, the Golden Triangle, where the courts said, look, developer, you were wrong in not getting the necessary approval. What it does mean now is that the developer, having invested, cannot necessarily get their return because they cannot occupy the property. The persons who they have sold these units to cannot pay over because the courts have said there is now a legal issue. So you're tying up your investment. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to do that.
Right. I'm sure that this is quite enlightening to many of our listeners right now. I'm going to bring Howard into the picture now. Howie, in terms of property management, which we know that at Howard Johnson Realty, you do a lot of that. What role does a property manager play in the interest of property owners and public access to information?
Well, we have to appreciate that as property managers, we are engaged by the already established community, namely the gated community or the strata. So we are hired to represent them. But as it relates to protecting the owner's information, we can disclose information once we are so instructed by our employers, employers, right? But where it comes to brokering the relationship between surrounding communities and our neighbors, we can play a part. So if there's a nuisance being caused by the existing structure or something that is not according to the law, then we broker that relationship. If the next door neighbor, as Dr. Archer mentioned, does not necessarily want to communicate with the developer or the homeowners, they can come through the agent of those persons, which is ourselves as property managers. We can provide them with information that they need. So once we are so authorized, mm-hmm. and we can guide them and broker any challenges that they may have with this establishment that is next door to them. So we are only guided by our employers.
And this is something that you've had to do in the past, eh?
Oh, we not just in the past, we are doing it now.
Even as we speak.
Even as we
Yes. Dr. Archer, what advice would you pass on to residents of communities who are unsure about their rights as citizens and in fact, homeowners who are living in these particular areas? Any advice in parting shot?
Yes. I think we citizens need to be a little bit more vigilant. And we saw the results of citizens being vigilant in places like Birdsucker and in the Golden Triangle. The unfortunate thing, though, is that most citizens associations are not well resourced. So whereas the developer might appeal and to even the point where they can go to the Privy Council in the UK because the developers might be better resourced. Citizens Association they don't have that resource. So I just want to caution that. But I think if they are more vigilant, if they see development taking place, they should contact the local authority, the KCMC. And yes, I know it's difficult to call them. I have had that challenge myself. But they have councillors. So they need to hold the councillors responsible. We need to demand that the local authority post their approval or the pending approval. So elsewhere where I have lived at work, in the New York City Planning Commission,
yes,
when they're doing major development, they post this information. It's available. You can see and you can go in and make your submission to say, I have an issue. And here are the reasons why I have an issue with development. Now, that will impact on the speed by which we do development. And I know our decision makers at this time, they want to speed development because they see it as contributing to the bottom line.
Absolutely. Yes?
But if you're destroying the environment, if you're further impacting climate change impact, then you are jeopardizing the country's future sustainable development. And we are likely then to lose whatever support we can get internationally as it relates to climate change mitigation. And those are some of the things we need to look for.
It is a big issue, and you have highlighted a number of concerns, that of many people, many of our listeners. Howie, I want to ask you, this is our final question for you. How important would you say, looking at urban planning, how important would you say selecting the right location for residential development is?
It's very important, and I think the key word in that is planning. Because when the developers are looking for communities, I remember we were looking for 1 acre, then it went down to 3/4, half an acre, and now 1/4 of an acre. Mm-hmm. It's not just any parcel of land that we can just sell to a developer and it can just build on. It needs to be in conformity with the overall plan that we have for the country and for different communities. So yes, you're going to be accustomed to high-rise buildings in and around the business districts, and that's norm everywhere you go in the world, including downtown. But certainly when you're going into other established communities that are designated for single-family home, it's not because there's an empty lot there or an old house. You can just knock it down and put up a high-rise building. It has to be in conformity with the overall plan that we have, because the plans will include the infrastructure that is needed to support these developments. And a lot of these communities where we're seeing some of the buildings going up, the infrastructure is not there, parking is not there, water supply, sewage.
Sewage is not there. Sewage.
It's not in place.
Yes.
And it now puts pressure on the government's resources, and then we, the taxpayers, have to now compensate for remedying these things when we have heavy disasters like Elsa and such like. So it's very important that we build according to the plan.
Planning is very, very important. We're moving on now to our feature, within the feature, our tip of the day, and Howard's got it.
Yes, sir. First impressions are lasting. In the sale of a property, ensure that any minor adjustments are made before the property is listed.
Very important tip there. Do you have our deal on the edge? If you do, let's have it.
Well, of course, we are offering this 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, fully furnished apartment located in Kingston 10. Your new home today. Make it your new home today. This rental unit with 1,500 square feet of space was featured on HGTV's House Hunters International. And it features an in-unit laundry, backup water tank, high ceilings, and lots of natural light. 24-hour security, underground parking, pool, elevator, and such alike. We're asking US $1,900 per month, and we're asking you to contact Cordine Henry at 371-3219. That's Cordine Henry, 371-3219.
Good luck with that, Cordine. That should get off your hands hopefully soon. I'd like to thank once again Dr. Carol Archer. You added a lot of value and very important information to the program. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
And best wishes. Howie, where can you be contacted? The final words are yours.
Well, we can be reached at Unit 15 Ligony Post Mall. You can give us a call at 620-1457. Visit our website at hjrealtors.com. But Richie, before I go, I must say on behalf of Howard Johnson Realty Group, I'd like to thank both yourself and the Edge family, Pat and DJ, for accommodating Real Estate Today and offering this show to your listeners. It was really a pleasure working with you, as today is our last show with Real Estate Today on Edge. We want to thank you wholeheartedly for accommodating us and giving us this experience. I truly enjoyed it working with you and the team from Edge, and may God continue to bless you all. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and the feeling is mutual. You have, in fact, the record now of being the most consistent sponsor and advertiser on Top of the Morning while it lasted. So,
wow.
Congratulations to you, sir,
yes,
and your
sir.
team.
Yes, yes,
Thank you, Dr. Archer. Thank you, Howard. Have a great day today. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Have a good one. Take
All
care.
right.
Have a good one.
Much love. That was Real Estate Today right here on Top of the Morning on the Edge 105 FM. Long-standing sponsor, running with us for several months and providing really valuable